What is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of the Groundbreakers Union. I am super thankful that we've even had the amount of support that we've had so far. It's been incredible. Thank you guys so much for the likes, the shares, the subscribes. I can't wait to keep it going. The only way we're going to be able to keep it going is by doing interviews with people like Stephen Fuller, who I have here tonight, veteran business owner in Colorado Springs, Wackadoo Brewing Company. Brewing Company.
Brewing.
Wackadoo Brewing. I reached out to him on Disgruntled Vets Entrepreneurs page. For those of you who aren't familiar, if you are a veteran and an entrepreneur, that is a very reliable source of information. And they can also, just other veterans knowing about your business, they'll support you in that way. And just like this. So real quick, we'll just let him introduce himself and then we'll get into it. So what's up, brother? How you doing?
What's going on, man? All right. I'm Steve Fuller. I'm the owner and the head brewer of Wackadoo Brewing in Colorado Springs. When we first started up, we were the only brewery in America to ever be part of a VFW. So we were down at the VFW in Fountain, Colorado. It's VFW 6461. And we were there for 2.5 years before we got finally moved up and got our own place in Colorado Springs.
Nice. Whereabouts in Colorado Springs?
We're up of about about a mile from Garden of the Gods. That's like the big place everybody in America knows about. But
yeah, I love that place, man.
Nice little corner up there where there's 3 breweries. There's Red Leg, Trinity, and us. And Red Leg's better known, so it's really good. We got good ties with Trinity as well. So you come out of Garden of the Gods and you're like, bam, okay, do I want, loud, crowded, and huge building of Red Leg? Do I want, the good food and the atmosphere they got over at Trinity? Or do you want to come out to Wackadoo where it's nice, quiet, laid back? So each place offers its own stuff. And we send each other customers all the time. We're like, hey, if you're just brewery hopping, go hit up these guys. And we just keep bouncing it around.
That's what it's all about, man. I mean, that's what this is all about too, just getting that shit out there, sharing. It doesn't cost anything to fucking just be like, hey man, this company down here is doing dope shit too. We're not in competition with them, although we are in the same business,
Yeah, that's the great thing about it. I've been in a lot of industries throughout my life and I've done a lot of different stuff, but the brewing world is probably the only place I've ever seen where it's really not like we have a little project we do every couple of weeks, and it's called Cooperation, Not Competition, where we go out and we check out other breweries, or those owners and brewers come and check out our place. And I've never had like a run-in with another brewery where I was like, yeah, don't go there, or these people, they'll do you wrong. No, there's 35 breweries in Colorado Springs, and I could easily hand out 10, 15 of those breweries to any of my customers, like, well, where should we go next? Because a lot of people do that when they get time off vacationing. They're like, we want to hit a bunch of these places. What do you recommend next? And we'll knock them out a whole list.
Hell yeah, especially when people are out to try beers, that's like a huge thing now, as opposed to just like my parents, for instance, well, we were locally here. It's Drecker Brewing is a big one, and we were there, and my mom's husband, he's a Busch Light guy,
Yeah.
He's like, what do I order? I'm like, dude, just go tell him you want a Kolsch, or just tell the guy or girl that you just tell them you drink Busch Light and give me something like it. They probably got something that's better. And he's like, all right. And then he had theirs. I can't remember what it's called, but he was just like, that's actually really good. I'm like, yeah, it is. And it's not, it's because it's made, they say it's made with love, but like every brewery makes their shit different, or it's a different recipe. But before I guess we get into that, I guess, like, how did you, or what did you do in the military? When did you serve?
I was an infantryman in the Army from February 98 till December 2011. I did 3 tours in Iraq. I was a drill sergeant for a couple of years. I was a sniper for 5 years. I had a really good time, man. I loved it. I was one of those like true believers, man. I was the first one to work, the last one to leave, all the way up until probably my last year in Iraq. Well, my last year in the Army was in Iraq, and then I was like, yeah, I'm done, man. I can't. I'd hit that point where I was a platoon sergeant. I was starting to see more of the political side of the military. And that's me. I mean, it's great for a lot of people, but I was a soldier. I did not like the getting into the politics and, you had to know and you had to go play golf with people. And, that wasn't for me.
Yeah. I had a buddy that just got out after 20 something years. I think he's still on terminal leave, but yeah, that was kind of his take on it too. Just the political side of it kind of makes it not fun. And
Yeah.
takes the soldiering out of it. He's like, I kind of wish I could be a private again.
Right. Yeah.
And just go like learn something else.
When you stop doing and you just start telling other people to do, I was like,
So yeah, we kind of, I guess we already visited that, but like what sets your beers apart? And I guess let's talk a little bit about your current lineup of beers and what sets them apart from, let's just say, your process from other people's.
Yeah. Well, a big one for us is that all natural ingredients. I do not use any artificial flavorings. I don't use any syrups. Even in our hard seltzers, a lot of people just have like pump syrups so you can flavor it. And instead, we actually go through and use all natural ingredients. Like right now, my hard seltzer that's on tap is the triple berry hard seltzer. So it's real raspberries, strawberries, and blackberries blended in. Like my Kolsch, you were mentioning a Kolsch right now. Apple pie Kolsch on right now, and that's real Fuji apples, real cinnamon sticks that give it that flavor, so it tastes kind of like an apple pie in a Kolsch. So with us, I wanted everything to be, the real ingredients, because sometimes I can go in there and you're drinking something and you get that little bit of a cough syrup feel or taste, and that's the syrups in there, and I hate that.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference. Myself, I mean, I don't really drink much anymore. I am like a craft beer drinker if I do, but it's usually just the sours for me.
Yeah, I got
what do you got
right now, man?
Which one?
People love that. It's called a black cherry sour.
Oof.
Black cherries in there, and it's a beautiful red color. And like our tail gunner, which is so that's my coffee nitro stout. I love.
Oh, that's another one of my.
We get our coffee from Soldier Girl Coffee. She's also a disabled vet. She's friggin' amazing. And she started her coffee company about the same time I started the brewery. So when I first started reaching out, I won't say their name, but there's a really big major veteran coffee company. So we reached out to them first. I'm like, hey, we do everything veteran to veteran. I'd like to use your coffee in our beer. And we went up like a whole email chain of like 8 different people getting higher and higher in their company. And then finally they just stopped talking to us altogether. And we're like, I guess we're not big enough or important enough to warrant this. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, here's what I want to do. And she's like, well, how much do you want to order? And I was like, I don't know, 20, 30 pounds at a time. And she was like, are you serious?
Real?
Because this is when she first started. So I mean, like, I was buying her out of stuff.
That's awesome.
Now, she has grown, about the same pace we have. I mean, she's doing amazing work. She's in Walmart now, Kroger, all these cool places. And so like we just put in another order with her for like another 25 pounds of coffee. And it's awesome that we can sit there and say, this beer was made by veterans with veteran coffee as well. So
yeah.
Beers that have got local sourced veteran honey in them, so whenever I can, everything comes from veterans.
That's awesome. And that's awesome. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know the company you reach out to. I won't say them either because they just, with my last podcast, I was working on the Veteran Chat Project, the one I originally reached out for you to be on. They basically were just like, no, we're not interested in podcasts or anything like that. And I'm just like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I get it. And it's like you said, maybe I'm not big enough to warrant that. And I think that right there, they say like all good podcasts, they solve the listener's problem, right? I think the problem right there was just said, are we big enough to warrant this, to warrant that? And I mean, no, you are, because you have that drive, because you want to do it, because you have that knowledge. That networking is huge. I mean, even like you're like, I didn't want to do that shit in the Army. That's why I got out. But like, you still learned it. Like, hey, man, I know. It's better to be that company that's sending people other way. Hey, man, you want to go over there and party? They're partying over there. They got really good beer. We're always going to be here. Yeah. I mean, it's helping people grow together, man. And then once companies get too big, they're not interested in they're like, we're so big.
Yeah, I've seen that happen with a couple of breweries too that started off small and were really cool, low key, and they worked a lot in the community and they were really involved all the time. And you got to meet the owners, you got to meet the brewers, and then as they grow and they get bigger, all of a sudden they have less time for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Sure, you're making a lot more money, you're big now, and that's great, but then you lost where you came from, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't as important. And so actually we've picked up a lot of customers and groups that come in with us because other places have started turning them away because they've gotten too big for it. And man, I am staying where we're at right here. I'm never going to get any bigger. We love where we're at, what we're doing. And I've been for 3.5 years. I've stuck by that I only distribute to veteran organizations or people that work with veterans. And, all of our projects there, I don't charge anything to use our tap room. If you want to have like a military retirement party or anything like that, we don't charge. I don't rent out the venue. We just let people come in, and like still working with the VFW. I've been out of the VFW now we moved out of the VFW about a year and a half ago. They still have my beer on tap. I still take them beer down there. I still don't charge them a damn thing for it because if it wasn't for them letting me use that building, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I don't forget where I came from. And I've always tried to stick by that.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. I'm just sitting there every time you see me writing, like you're giving me ideas of shit we can do. I mean, just even that right there was like, dude, I should go to Colorado. I miss being out there anyway. It's almost snowboarding season.
Oh,
I'll come out there. We'll set up a thing where it's just like, we'll try to get just like a veteran entrepreneur
yeah.
party together or something, man, and just
Group down there, the Veterans Networking Association. They come in usually the first Monday every month, and there's just a bunch of vets that either work in a business or own a business, and they all come in there and hang out. And we just love to sit in there and just talk and network. And it's amazing the people that walk in the door. And people will start talking to each other and be like, "Holy shit, yeah, I was over in this, I was deployed over here, or I was in that unit." And they're like, "Oh, what do you do now?" We got one guy who comes in there. Fairly regularly earlier, but now he's traveling a lot. But he works for a big, not Peloton, but one of the companies like that, where the home exercise stuff.
mm-hmm.
COVID, a lot of people weren't allowed to be out. And during the winter months, all these cyclists, because Colorado's huge on people cycling.
I know they are.
So he actually sold a dude who's an ultra marathon biker, sold him one of his training units, just sitting there bullshitting. At the same time, how do you have the guy who's a designer and builder of these home exercise equipment, and right beside him, unbeknownst, is an ultra marathon biker who's looking for a new bike equipment, and it's cool.
That is pretty badass, dude. I am gonna have to make a trip. I'm gonna have to get me a company credit card.
Right?
Like, hey, it's a tax write off. I'm going.
Right, yeah.
But so I mean, when we initially spoke, you said you had a pretty interesting story. So I know you're interested. I want to hear kind of what that story is.
Yeah, it's just it started off as just a crazy idea. It was me, my roommate, and my girlfriend at the time, just sitting around, and they were like, "Well, we're tired of working for other people. We want something to do." And I've owned a business before, so I mean, I got a pretty good head for it. And it was, fuck it, let's start brewing beer. And because I've worked for a couple of other breweries over the years, and it just kind of all came together real quick. And then a few months into it, my ex decided she didn't want to be part of it anymore, and she bounced. And then, with my friend, he still had his regular life going on and shit like that. So I bought him out, and I kept going with it. As a matter of fact, he works for me now. He's worked for me since I started.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it wasn't originally something I was going to do, and we just kept going. And once I got started on something, I'm one of those people, I don't like being told I can't do something, or that I should just stop. Because I mean, COVID hit 6 days after I started the brewery. So no loans, no bank, no building. We couldn't get anything. And I went down to the VFW, and just crazy enough, I mean, I got some friends down there, and I pitched them the idea, and they were like, "Nobody's going to want your beer. They look at these guys. They drink Busch Light, Coors, Bud. Then nobody's going to want craft beer at a VFW." And so they finally, after a couple of months, they let me put one beer on tap. We put that beer on tap, sold it out that day. And they were like, "Okay, all right, maybe you got something here." And
That's awesome.
a couple months later, I moved into a little building they had in behind the VFW itself, started making beer, giving it to them in exchange for letting me be there. And, after 2.5 years, we finally had enough money saved up and enough, product and everything going on, that we decided it was time to get our own place.
Hell yeah. How did you come up with Wackadoo?
So it kind of started off as a bad joke. So that ex-girlfriend, anything that's crazy, weird, or different, where she's from is called wackadoo. You're just like, oh, you're so wackadoo. That's wackadoo. And we looked it up online. There was no wackadoo companies that I didn't have to fight for a trademark or a name. And
Love when that happens.
yeah, and now if you look around the tap room, yeah, we're pretty wackadoo. Because I mean, I'm messed up. I've been blown up a bunch, so I'm a little off. And some of the beers we make are I make some good traditional beers, but then I go a little out there some days.
Little
And
mad scientist.
oh yeah, like one of the most well or is our pickle Rick. I'm sorry, dill pickle beer.
Yeah.
Uh, but our dill pickle beer has become very popular because I make my own brine and then we blend it into a nice easy blonde. So I mean, it tastes like you're drinking pickle juice.
Huh. You should
And
do like a jalapeno one, like
I
a
could
pickled
actually
jalapeno
go back
one.
and forth. We brew it twice a month. The first time is regular. The second time is it's actually jalapenos in there. So we call it the spicy pickle Rick.
I need like a whole case
Right?
of beer sent to me.
We're gonna have to.
How do we ship beer? Is it expensive?
It depends. I'm allowed to send you yeast samples, but I can't ship you beer. So
I got a liquor store next or down the road. I'll just tell them to start carrying your beer.
right.
We gotta order it. But hell, man, that's cool though. I love when, like you said, like when you Google it, like I want this to be the name, and you're like right off your heart, you're like that's gonna be the one. You look at it, you're like, oh, it's open, I can
Yeah.
do it.
Well,
That
okay.
happened with this too. I was like groundbreakers. I was like, it's got to be like not just the groundbreakers. It's got to be like something because it's groundbreaking to start your own business. You break
Yeah.
ground on a business, you build something from scratch, and that's exactly what this show was. And I wanted to signify that, like what we talked about before we got on that union that like I want to grow not only me, this podcast and this show, but I would love it to be able to get into as just many ears as possible. So that way, when people are like you were talking, I mean, someone could be in their car right now listening, or someday when they listen to this episode, and they could be fucking driving down the highway and be like, dude, we're almost Colorado Springs. We should go check out that brewery.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I remember that's the one we heard on that podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And I've always said it's like, it elevate the people around you,
Hmm.
surround yourself with success and you'll be successful. If you know other people that are doing something like what you're doing right here, I mean, 3.5 years now, I've had this brewery. And anytime somebody asks me, hey, do you want to be on this podcast or can I interview you for this newspaper or whatever it is? I'm still honored every single time. Like, I hope I never get that feeling where I'm like, I guess I could do it. No,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
asked. I was like, hell yes. When are we doing this? I put it in my calendar. I had an alarm set. I mean, I am super excited
see,
because
I love
me,
that.
I'm still in that phase of holy shit, we're getting somewhere. So to me, it's still a big deal, and I love it. And so when you take other people with you on that journey, you all just get better for it.
Yeah. And for me, I'm like, I got, I mean, just switching over from another podcast, I got like 9 followers right now on the actual podcast. So I'm like, every bit helps. But I mean, eventually, some people that were listening to Veteran Chat Project, if they get bored, they'll probably
Yeah,
click on the link that I put on the page. It ain't dead. Veteran Chat Project's not dead. I'm just putting on hold. Maybe someday somebody else will want to pick it up and I'll just produce it or something like that. Or my buddy will come back around and we'll do it again. But I
yeah,
just didn't want to go on without him. I like this kind of as a solo project too, because it doesn't need to be just veterans either.
yeah,
It just so happens that a lot of the people I'm going to be bringing on the show are veterans, and that's just because that's very near and dear to my heart. Being a veteran myself, I was a tanker. I was in for 4 years though, and I did 2 deployments in Iraq in those 4 years. I was like, okay, it's time to go. Well, truth be told, I did tell it on one of my first episodes. I smoked weed after my second deployment, and they were on a 0 tolerance, and I got kicked out like that. And I was just like, well, fuck. Back to my shit. If you do, listeners, want to listen to that, Veteran Chat Project is still live on all the places. You can start at the beginning, hear my whole backstory. It's all there. But yeah, so that's where I've always just been like, man, no one's ever I don't want to say like no one's ever had my back, but I've never really had no one that just like no fucking matter what was there to have my back. And I think that that's kind of where this whole thing was built from as well.
Yeah.
Just like I just want to go out there and just get a tribe and just help as many people as I can, because like you said, it's just at the end of the day, it feels good to know like somebody went and got a beer, or somebody saw you wearing my shirt in the brewery and was like, what's that? Like, oh, it's a podcast I was on. Oh, you're on a podcast? Like, fuck yeah. Maybe down the road we bring back your beer
Yeah.
podcast and just make it a segment.
Man, because I've got a sticker wall at the brewery for like all the different places, not just other breweries, but like other businesses. Like I've got a friend of mine who's got a blacksmithing shop. We got his sticker up on there because he's a veteran, and
Ooh.
sticker do. We'll put it up on the wall, and then when you come to Colorado Springs, we'll get you on my show, Beers with the Brewer, and we'll sit down, have a couple of flights of beer, and we'll just talk beer, and we'll talk about what you're doing.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm gonna talk to my wife. Like, babe, can I go back to Colorado?
Right.
I was
Why?
just there not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's a business trip. Yeah, I mean, shit, I guess. Yeah, I don't have much time. I won't be. She can't snowboard this year anyway. We're expecting. I haven't said that on a podcast yet. Good thing this isn't live.
There you go.
But fuck it. I'm gonna have to post it on Facebook now before Monday. But hey, we're having a baby.
Yeah. By the way.
Yeah. Woohoo! It's a boy. Another baby boy. I kind of wanted a girl this time, but hey, 2 will turn him in. It's all right. So what? Back to the Wackadoo Brewing, man. What are some like major challenges or setbacks you had? I obviously COVID. That's gonna throw a fucking huge wrench, and there's probably a lot of people that didn't make it through that. Even big companies
during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How were you able to get through those? That and like any other situations, or what else has come up? I guess.
Yeah, people have been very determined, but I'm a stubborn asshole. That's the way I put it. So every time you can't do this, or you're not going to be able to make it, or this is stupid, dude. I started the brewery with $17,000. Nobody does that. It takes like $250,000 to $500,000 to start a brewery, and I literally sold everything I owned. A couple people gave me a little bit of money here and there to help along the way, and I paid them all back. And it was there was a brewery up past Denver called Lady Justice Brewing. They had a little beat up old 1-barrel brew system that they wanted to get rid of, and so I bought it off them for $500. And I mean, it needed work. It was in rough shape, but I started with that, and we brewed on that for almost 3.5 years, man. We just got our 5-barrel system in last Tuesday. So we're about to do 5 times more beer than we've ever been able to do before. But so I started with that. None of the grain companies would supply me because I couldn't order enough grains because we were making small batches. So I was going to the homebrew store here in town. I've actually been their biggest customer for over 3 years because I'm buying all my stuff from them. And so we started out with that, just brewing a couple of beers here and there. And then when we were finally ready to make the jump, we'd saved up enough money. I'd bought enough equipment. We moved up into where we're at now. And up there, I've got a couple of people that believed in me and helped me out along the way. And they've been just tremendous. And especially the veteran community, dude, you go into disgruntled veterans, and especially the one for Colorado, and ask if they know about Wackadoo. Fucking those guys turn out and it made such a huge help for me. There's so many of those guys, 22 Until None, Angels Fallen Foundation, all these different veteran nonprofit groups we work with. Those people have been amazing trying to help me out. And whether it's, labor or getting events, at the brewery to help bring people in, or even just giving us shout outs every now and then, it's been awesome. Like, we're the only brewery in Colorado Springs that makes our own non-alcoholic beer. And that's because of a friend of mine who's a veteran who, wanted to sober up. He knew that, that was really hurting him. And there's a lot of veterans out there that know that drinking is not for them. And I applaud that. Even as a brewery owner, like I did a full non-alcoholic day at the brewery for 22 Until None. We called it the soda social function because I make all my own sodas as well. But beer and soda.
I'm coming out there. I'll be out there tomorrow.
So I am all for it. If you walk in the door and be like, hey, I don't drink. Boom, period. Okay, no problem. Well, I have a non-alcoholic beer. And there are those people out there like, well, a non-alcoholic beer makes them want to have a regular beer. If you say that, I also make all my own sodas too. Just come in there at the time.
I'll just have some soda, but I will leave with some beer. Well, if we're doing the show, I'll have some beer for the show. You gotta do that. I'm not like sober or nothing. I prefer to smoke myself.
Yeah, I have nothing against those that are sober. You can still come out. That's why I started making the non-alcoholic beers, because there were guys that were missing being able to come out to these events, and I always felt like they were pressured into drinking.
That's
Well,
the huge thing too.
my
Yeah.
non-alcoholic actually tastes like real beer, so you can sit right beside your buddy, have the exact same beer. His has alcohol, yours doesn't, because I make the same beers as a non-alcoholic or an alcoholic version. And the one I've got on tap right now, I didn't even realize when we were making it, we're only the second brewery in America to ever make a barrel aged non alcoholic porter. So, we got that to add to our little resume now, is that we've started making non alcoholic barrel aged beers.
Shit, dude. I just wrote down make it as I can I'm gonna look up how can I make it a tax write-off if it's a sponsorship trip, and I'm just going to pick up a bunch of beers and
Well,
empty cans to put up
dude,
on my shit behind here so we could just
yeah,
have some shit up here.
you go to a business dinner, and everybody's having dinner and a couple of cocktails, you write that off. So, I mean, it's the same thing. As long as we talk about your podcast and my brewery, it's a business meeting.
Oh shit, here I come. Let me talk to the wife. We're expecting shit by the time this podcast episode airs, we'll actually have a nephew born. My sister-in-law is expecting. They're inducing tomorrow morning, so
Yeah,
they'll be
because
having a nephew born. So they might not be able to get out right away. She'll be busy, but yeah, man, I definitely, dude. I gotta look into all that. Just get myself a business credit card, because I mean, ultimately, being that entrepreneur and myself doing the lawn care is what my LLC is through. And then I'm actually looking into DBAs for Groundbreakers Union, and then what's going to be I think I'm just going to call like small batch merch shop.
yeah.
Just because I said it to you in that text message and it just sounded good.
Yeah, no.
Like, dude, I actually like that. That's a small batch merch shop.
That's how the best ideas come up, man. You just throw shit out there and you're like, oh wait, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I mean, I got a lot of cool things in the works myself, man. It's just like this whole thing, it's been a very freeing experience to kind of chase I let your heart drive something, instead of just being like at this point in my head, I'm just like, even if I'm only getting 5 listeners or 9 listeners, like, I don't fucking care.
Hey,
I never did care, even with the first podcast. I mean, obviously I'd love to get more because I can get more sponsorships, be able to afford to help more people. I know, I mean, I got some people coming on, nonprofit that runs like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu dojo, but he's running basically all out of his pocket.
nice.
So I mean, like, he's looking for funding. I'd love to be able to just be like, hey, here you go. Here's a check for 10 grand. Keep it floating for the month or the year. I don't have it. I barely got enough for advertising, folks. But you can help me out with that. No.
I'm always apologizing when we do a fundraiser for one of the nonprofits. I'm like, hey, it's not a lot. Here's a check for $150. Here's a check for $200.
Right.
It's like, I'm sorry that I can't do more. But then, turn around, they're like, hey, thank you for at least doing this with us. You got to think about that, man. I mean, sometimes it's, it's what you can. And as the brewery's been growing, I've been able to turn around and give back more and more money. And that's always the point of my success, is that we can turn around and I can do more with that.
Yep.
So it's like, working with the veterans, it's so huge for us. So we're 100% veteran owned and operated. All of my staff are either veterans or direct family member of veterans. Tonight's karaoke night, actually, at the brewery right now. That's what they got going on. That's why I came home, because I figured I didn't hear me with the karaoke going.
Like, all right, dude, tell her to stop. No, I'm just kidding.
You pull that song for a minute.
Yeah. Tequila.
His name is Felix. He's a veteran, and I taught him how to brew, and now he brews in the back with me every now and then as well. And then his wife is also a veteran, and she's my office manager, and she has been my saving grace because I hate freaking paperwork. So I mean, having those two there, plus my other bar staff are one of them. My best friend, his dad and both his grandfathers served. One of my female ones, her husband is still active duty right now, and she works at, so everybody, we're all interacting. All my spent grain goes to a veteran farmer who owns Warrior Mission Ranch, which is a veteran horse farm where they actually teach people how to rope and ride and whatnot. They bring veterans out there and help them out. So everything we do, we interact with veterans.
That's fucking awesome, dude. I'm so glad. I'm so glad, one, that when I reached out into that Facebook page that you were as excited as you were
Oh
to
yeah,
chat.
yeah.
And not only that, but like, I'm sorry, go ahead. But just to even after I was like, hey, I know we talked about being on a different show. You were just like, whatever, dude. What, same time, same place. Let's roll. And I'm like, I fucking bet. Like, I'll be there.
Oh yeah,
Everything I laid the groundwork this weekend when I had the time. I think overall, I mean, I put 20 hours into building the website and doing all the shit, but like every second of it was just so much fun for me because I was like, ooh, I want to do this. And like, I just fucking did it. Like,
yeah.
see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll do it again.
Anybody else? That's the great thing. It sucks most days owning your own thing, but man, when you don't have to, there's nobody to go over it with. You don't have to take a vote. You don't have to. If you want to do something, do it. You know,
Yeah.
that's the one really nice thing about it.
Yeah, like tomorrow, I'll cut the lawn care, or I'll cut the campground tomorrow, and it takes me. I mean, it takes me a good 5 hours on my mower, and that whole time I'm just like, dude, it's my business, So I'm like, it's hot out, and I'll just park under the tree and get
Yeah,
in my truck, turn on the AC, fucking go to the gas station, get something to drink, come back. Just like I'm not in any rush, because I'm not getting paid by the hour. I'm
yeah,
gonna do the same good job regardless. I'm not gonna hurt myself over it, as opposed to like having like a worked for a lawn care business. They'd be like, hurry the fuck up,
yeah.
get that shit done. You're like, oh, come on, man.
You're on the clock, bro.
Yeah, like fuck, clock me out then. But yeah, dude, and that's just what you said earlier. I think is having someone that having people that believe in you.
Yeah,
That's a huge
the only
thing
reason
too.
I'm going. Yeah, is the
Uh,
people that had my back, and that have always been there. But I'll tell you that's a quick way to find out who your friends are and are not. When it's hard times, you'll watch most of those people walk away, or and they won't come back until, oh, hey, you're doing really well now. Hey,
mhm.
long time. How
I
are you?
always knew you'd get it. I
Yeah,
always knew you'd be there.
it's those people that have stood by me when it was just. I mean, there were days where it got really bad, and we weren't sure we were ever going to make it, and then we did. And those people that were still standing with me in the aftermath, those are my family now. I mean,
Hell yeah,
I,
tribe.
yeah, exactly. They are the people that I'm do or die with them because they stuck by me when it was bad, and now things are getting better, and those other people are trying to come back, and I'm like, no, you don't. No,
Yeah,
these people stuck by me.
you already missed the train, Chief. Sorry. Like we're more than welcome to shout you out and let you get your thing going on your own. But yeah, there's yeah, as far as like help goes, like nah.
Yeah.
I'm on full support. I'll never chop you down for it. But yeah, you're on your own. And
Yep.
that's just how you gotta be. I mean, unfortunately, that is business, in a sense. But if done right, if you do it right, like you said, you keep it small, you keep it local, you keep it all within a circles of people. You deal with only people that you want to deal with,
Yep.
that you do believe in dealing with. That's another thing too. You like every dollar you spend is a vote towards like how you want the world to be. They say, like if you're spending money at the big name brands, getting all your beer and all your stuff, you're just supporting that big company.
Yep.
If you had gotten that big coffee deal, then Soldier Girl Coffee would have never, got grown out or got holy shit ordered by you and just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's on. And you made her fucking dreams come true just by being like, you know what? They didn't want me. Let's go help somebody else. Let's grow together.
She's been amazing too. Like me and
I'm gonna
her,
get her on the show.
we're battle buddies. Dude, you have got to get her on the show. You'll love it. But we're like battle buddies now. She even came out to visit a couple times while we were brewing beer, and I was showing her how we used her coffee beer. But like, she'll get, oh, she was on a podcast, and then I was on a podcast, and then she was in a magazine, and then I was in a magazine, and then she did this big, veteran fundraiser project. So I did one, and like we keep hitting each other and keep pushing each other. And she's
Yeah.
like, this new thing I just did, and I'm like, shit. Okay, look at
Like I was going to sleep, but now I got
yeah,
shit to do.
how
Thanks.
hard to write this new thing. Yeah.
Oh
Push.
man, and that's just the passion, the passion of the I've been called the idea man before. And I think before I even did that last podcast with my buddy, I didn't have the confidence to do shit on my own. I was always like, I need that partner. I need that partner. I need that partner. And then I did something with the partner, and then like at no fault of his own, it was just because his life is a lot busier than mine.
Yeah.
He wasn't available as often, and that happens. But I'm just like 3 a.m. I'll sit up and like, I got a fucking really good idea. And then
Yep.
instead of like, how can I text my boy this without him being like, I don't need you to text me back at 3 a.m. I just need you to, like, when you wake up and read it, be like, that's dumb, or that's not dumb.
Yeah.
Let's do it, you know. But now I'm just like, I'm just gonna have to find out if it's dumb. Hey man, that was dumb. Like, okay, I won't do it again.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I need that. Sometimes you need that, but at the same time, sometimes you got to learn. I mean, maybe it's not dumb. Maybe somebody sees it like, that's funny.
No, I've had a couple of my guys have to rein me in every now and then because I'll just go off, and they're like, I don't know about that one, or just like, I mean, they've been hounding me for a long time. This year, I went 226 days without a day off, and they finally all kind of beat me up, and they're like, "You have got to take a day off," and I was like, "I don't really need to," and then I took a day off, and I was like, "Fuck, I needed that."
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, now can I get a week?
Right, you don't see it, I mean, because I mean, I love being there. I get up, I go to the gym, take a shower, and I'm straight to the brewery. I'm there by 7 or 8 every morning, and either I'm there all the way till 10 at night, or my early days I'm off by like 4 or 5. So I mean, a half day for me is 9 hours of work. My average day
Yeah,
is 15, and that's 7 days a week, and it has been for the last 3.5 years. And finally, I'm like, all right, I need to learn how to start resetting a little bit.
yeah. And then learn how to delegate a little bit. Let
Yeah.
you know. That's the thing too, is like, find someone that you can just kind of like trust to. I'm gonna take 2 days, 3 days off, and everything's gonna be fine when I get back, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that kills me, because I mean, like, I'm in there doing everything. Like today, I was cleaning a fermenter, I was kegging a beer, and I was running the bar until 4 o'clock when my shift ended. So like, I'm nailing all this stuff all the time, and I'm so used to it that I immediately think, okay, somebody else can go ahead and do this, and I'll ask them to do it. And then it's hard because they're not used to it. And as soon as they fail, like for a minute, I'm like, fuck, why did I let them do that? And then it's like, they have to learn, and they have
Yeah.
to get into that. Like, I've been doing it for so long, it's such an easy rhythm for me that sometimes I forget that not everybody does that.
Yeah, that happens in the kitchen a lot with chefs and teaching guys how to, or teaching people how to do stuff. They're just like, man, like, why aren't you done cutting that onion, or why aren't you done like doing all this? It's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like,
I haven't been doing this.
it's like, she's like, it's done. You're just like,
Yeah.
hey man, like, like,
What was
that's
step?
that. Right, like, that's that fucking ninja voodoo warrior shit, like, I don't know how to do that. And then like 5 years later, you're like, I'm that guy now.
Yeah. Now
Like,
you're aren't done yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then but then you check yourself in your head, and you're like, don't. You can
Yeah.
really, really change people's opinion on just that whole. I mean, even the kitchens in general. If more people would took the approach of like, let me just sit next to you and tell you what you're doing wrong, or like, well, how you can improve, or hey man, you got a second, can I show you something, instead of just being like, what the fuck. Chefs are very much like old drill sergeants, like,
Oh
where they're
yeah.
just like very much in your ass all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think in general, I mean, as a business owner, as a leader, first of all, being a leader as a business owner is probably the most important key to success that I can think of
Yeah.
personally.
Well, that's
Um,
true. And I taught all of them how to brew. Like, we're one of the few breweries where all of my staff, there is no like front of house and back of house. Everybody there knows how to brew, knows how to keg, knows how to clean stuff. And I made sure every one of them has made a few beers so we can put them on tap. And then if I'm not there and they're working, they'd be like, oh, what do you recommend? Well, actually, this is my beer right here. I made this one. And I love being able to showcase that and show that. Because most of the time when you're trying to break into the brewing industry, you're a seller person. You're stuck washing kegs, cleaning floors. You're everybody's little bitch. And I hated that, and I went through that myself. And I mean, I understand there's a reason for it, and especially in bigger breweries, everybody's got their job. But in a place small like mine, I mean, there's 3 part-time employees and me. So everybody needs to learn all these jobs, and then they actually enjoy it. I've never had a person be like, I don't want to brew. Everybody thinks it's cool, and they get back there and they get to make a beer. And then when it's done, they get to taste it and be like, oh, I made this. And then they put it on tap and they're like, hey, this is my beer right here. And it's a really cool thing. And it helps too, because In almost any industry, you get snide customers every now and then
Mm-hmm.
that have read 20 books or they've been home brewing forever.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this beer is it. Well, when I've had a few of those come in, and if I'm not there or I'm just sitting back listening and I'm letting my employees handle it, because
Mm-hmm.
they can talk through the process and be like, actually, this beer was made with this. This is what we did during this, and it usually shuts.
Mic drop, bitch. No.
Up,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
great though, because I mean, like even in I mean, again, back to a restaurant, but I mean, it's the
yeah,
service industry altogether. You ask a server, oh, what do you recommend? Because my wife likes to do this, and me being a chef, I'm like, I know the server doesn't like this, but I also know one of two servers answer this either way. A good server is going to answer you, even if they don't know. And this is something that the army taught me. Even if I have no fucking idea what my favorite wrap is on the menu, I'm going to tell you. Well, if you ask of these two, and I'm gonna read you for about a half a second, and I'm gonna be like, I think it's this one. I love this one. I love the sauce. You know, definitely pick that one because at least you have the menu knowledge
yes,
to know what you're talking about. And that right there is, I mean, if more restaurants did that, I mean, it's obviously a little harder, but like food trucks are ones that kind of do that.
yeah,
Because you kind of have to be like if you're a server on a food truck, the person just window and handing out, like there's times where like, I mean, I'm gonna need you to work the fryer and
mhm,
plate some shit up, you know,
yeah,
and like vice versa. If you need a break, I'll teach you how to work this grill
yep,
and you know, I'll do your shit. You know, we're all in this together. And that's again, that's going back to like being a leader. A lot of times, man, you go into these businesses and you expect to work for like a small business, like this dude's gonna be awesome. He's a small business owner. And like, man, this guy's really just in it just to say he owns the bar, you know. Oh, I
oh,
own a bar.
two of those out there. We were just
Oh
having a
yeah.
earlier today. People got a lot of money, opened up a
Hmm.
place, thought it would be cool,
And all
and
their
now
friends come hang out and drink them out, and they drink them fucking dry.
that place is hurting now because they've had so many problems in there, and the upper leadership is clueless. They're like,
Yep.
"Oh, who will just throw more money at it? That'll fix whatever this problem is." They
Yeah.
dumped money on advertising. They dumped tons of money on stuff, and then their first like 3 or 4 weeks open, they're already down to like a 3.7 rating on Google, and their food is bad. Stuff is frozen. Everything's seriously overpriced. The wait staff, because they've got like QR codes set up on the tables. Instead of being able to order the beer, you have to do it through the QR code, and then you have to pay the tip before you even get the beer.
Yeah. No
And
thanks.
a lot of things people are upset about this place, but he's dumped so much money into advertising and doing special events there that it's keeping new people coming in because they don't know any better yet. But I've watched that. And then you watch little places that they put their heart and their soul into the place, and it's really amazing, but nobody knows they're there. So it's that but you can always tell the people that opened a place because they want to make money and the people that open a place because they love what they're doing and they want to do good things.
Hell yeah, dude. That's who we're going after. That's who this show is going after. Those guys that need that extra break. I mean, like I'm not charging people to do this show. I do the show because I love it. I don't think I will ever. I mean, I've actually seen in some of the podcasting groups. I mean, there's obviously good people and bad people in every industry. Overall, the podcasting industry does seem very, 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 very helpful and supportive.
Yeah.
There are people that like think they're so big, like, yeah, I'm gonna charge you $50 to be on my show. Like, nah,
Right.
fuck that. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I do this shit for free. Like, I mean, it does cost money to set up and do this. Like, this website costs money. Everything costs money, but I mean, that's the price of doing business.
Yeah.
You hopefully you sell some shirts or some. I'm about to go actually press out. I think I have 20 more shirts to press out just to have like a first batch and put them online, just to kind of get people aware. I'm already redesigned the logo a little bit because I just don't like it's not very readable on the shirt. So I'm gonna do these for. I'll probably just hand these out. I'll mail you one and just hand these
Yeah.
out to
Hey, my first run of sweatshirts looked like shit, and I would away for like trivia prizes. Carry. I was just like, here, take one, man.
They're
Get
really
some.
nice t-shirts though. Well, this one's a different one, but I mean, I like to use the really nice next levels, even if it costs me a little bit extra money. But still, a $15 t-shirt with, I mean, that's a good t-shirt, even if it's the first run, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Small batch merch. No,
Yeah.
but But yeah, man, just real quick, I guess. I actually wanted to ask you a question before we got, like, I was gonna ask it after, but I might as well ask it now. So like me, you said home brewing. I kind of like, because there's a couple breweries. There's the one in Fargo, Drecker. They're awesome. But there's not like a whole lot of like things like that here. You know, it's not like a big like brewery area.
Yeah.
If I wanted to make my own sour, how would I do that at home?
Hell yeah. There's this because there's basically two different ways you can make a sour. You can do what's called kettle souring, which I don't do. It takes a lot more work, and you really have to clean the crap out of your equipment. So what I do is, you can order it online. Hell, even Amazon has it. You get this stuff. It's called Philly sour yeast, and then make your regular, the recipe the way you want, whether it's fruited or whatever to make it. And the Philly sour yeast helps lower the pH and gives you that nice little sour flavor. Also add a little bit of gypsum powder into your beer while you're brewing. So put it in during the mash when you got your grains in. It's usually like 1 teaspoon per 5 gallons, or for every 15. I don't know. Read the instructions. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of gypsum will help lower the pH, and then use that Philly sour yeast in your fermenter. And I've never had any issues. A lot of the bigger people, they use kettle souring. That's where you actually sour it in the kettle, and it can be a 2 or 3 day process depending on how you're doing it. But I just like using that Philly sour yeast. It's simple, it's easy, and everybody loves our sours. So on the
Oh yeah.
homebrew, it's super easy. Just get some Philly sour yeast. You can order it on Amazon. There you go.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get into home brewing just because I get bored, and it's not legal to grow my own uh, home brew.
wrong, wrong state.
Yeah, wrong state. I mean, I do have a medical card, so that's fine. But you would think that with the med card, you could at least grow your own plants.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, I would still, just personally, the product's terrible. I moved from Colorado here, and I'm just like, this place sucks. Plus, it's
literally next door to the brewery, like 5 feet over.
you ought to get them on the show.
We'll hook you up.
Hell yeah. I'm on my way. I'm gonna tell the wife when I go upstairs if she's awake. Like, babe, I'm going to Colorado. Apply for a business credit card, do my doing business as,
There you
and I'm
go.
on my way. Got to spend money to make money, right?
Right? That's how it goes.
But I mean, plus, I mean, I got my buddy Chad Croat out in Apex Animal House I was telling you about. He's out there too, and they got some big shit going. Actually, my last guest, Joe McCoy, they're basically business partners, and kind of that whole venture. Well, not in the gym, but in kind of something else. They go with this tactical fit program. So I mean, like, he would be definitely someone I would probably bring in, have him say, whatever business owners he's already linked up with, like, let's all get together and have just like
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, no, I know where that's at.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's our boy. Yeah,
all this. Yeah,
boy, I have to fucking do that for sure. Oh hell yeah. So yeah, real quick, man. Just shout out some of the local businesses and some of the people that you want to just like shout out and support.
yeah, absolutely. So like I said, my in-house DJ there at the brewery, his name is DJ Tech Logic. Is my friend Felix. Yeah, he's a veteran, so is his wife, so they're awesome. I mean, definitely 22 Until None, Angels of the Fallen Foundation, Warrior Mission Ranch, Riders for Kids, the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, the VFW Warriors. We work with all of these guys, regularly. I love doing projects for them whenever I can. We brew special beers for them. We've named after them, and then we donate 50 cents for every glass back to them. There's a few more groups that we're getting ready to start working with. There's a cycling group downtown that they're all veteran owned, and we've actually got one of their bike racks right out in front of the brewery. It's just so many fantastic people out there. Like, we're starting to work with another this female veteran who has a or not a horse rescue, but an all animal rescue. She's like got a crap load of llamas and stuff like that. Her name's Audrey, and she's getting her 501(c) now. So as soon as that's official, we're going to start working with her, and we're going to make a beer for her as well. We just got into a brand new tap house, which is awesome for us. They actually opened up August 14th, called the Big Lebowski, just like out of the movie. And they're going to start carrying our beer down there just a couple miles down the road. They happened to come into the brewery, loved our beer, and they're like, boom, we want to do this. So we're slowly getting pushed out there, and it's really awesome. The big thing for us is just nobody knows where we are. These guys the people who live in the apartments across, they come over, 9 months after we opened. They're like, "Oh, we had no idea you were here." I was like, "You live 50 feet away and you had no idea." So we're still working on it,
Yeah,
but
gotta get
that's
you a big ass sign.
oh, I got one now and it lights up. People still have no idea. Like, oh,
Oh,
I hear years, and I'm like, all right.
yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, some people though. I mean, that's I don't think I ever realized it, and it's a bit of a sidetrack. But I was in HVAC school before I moved to North Dakota, and a guy um had just gotten out of being a police officer. He's a police officer again, but he had quit, didn't want to do it no more. So at this time, he had just gotten out of being a cop, and we're in class and went on break or something. We're sitting out in the truck and just bullshitting. And you could tell he's still got his full, he's still full cop
Yeah.
stance and everything watching. And me, I'm like just watching him, and I'm also like very observant myself. So like I'm kind of like watching his body language. He's on like at least 60% all the time, like looking around, scanning like he's on a traffic stop, and I'm like, yo, relax. And he's like, sorry, dude. I used to get paid to observe, and and just like ever since he said that, I'm just like, fuck, man, that's what it is. That's why I can't put it down, because it was ingrained in you to, like, what is it? Complacency kills, dude. That's like the biggest killer in all fucking war is complacency. The next is like when they can't treat your like when your limb falls off, and they can't, when your combat lifesaver badge isn't worth shit. You gotta remember that shit, because a lot of people die on the way to um, surgery or whatever because of whatever. But yeah, that's a sidetrack for sure. But yeah, dude, that is a pretty awesome story, man. Like I really fucking pumped about this show. This show was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you being excited to come on too. Like you said, like
Oh, yeah.
setting the time aside and being present for it. I know I've had some people on shows forget they were doing the show, and I just kind of felt like I was bugging them. So I really appreciate that.
Their time. But I mean, dude, like I said, I mean, ever since I started, and now it's 3.5 years later, and I'm still blown away. People want to ask about the brewery or ask about me. I'm like, I still don't have that. I hope I never get that big head where I'm just like, oh, I'm too important for this. I never want to be. I don't care if it's like some little fucking 10-year-old doing like a school paper thing and be like, we want to ask you about what a brewery is. I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's talk about it.
I'll teach you how to brew and understand that
Right?
alcohol can hurt you if not, yeah. But it can be enjoyable if done right.
Absolutely. I mean, for a while there, we had the youngest brewer in Colorado. I was teaching a friend of mine who's a vet, and he actually does a lot of my HVAC work for me. His son, at 16 years old, was in there brewing with me.
That's
He
awesome.
could taste it before it goes into fermentation because there's no alcohol at that point. So while it's being brewed, he could actually taste it, so he could start getting the idea of how it should taste and what each particular grain or hop gives the flavor profile. So he's been brewing with me for over 2 years now, and smart kid, and he just loves the idea of because there's so much chemistry and math and
Yeah,
science
it is
involved,
pretty cool.
and he loves it. So I mean, I have no problem. I think that's the greatest thing in the world, man. Beer really is, a universal thing.
I'm gonna get a home brew kit now. I don't even have one. I'm just like, man, how do I do that shit? But now I'm like,
Dude,
I know
yeah,
how to make sours now.
I'll hook you up, man. I'll give you a couple of my recipes.
Hell yeah, dude. Dude, again, man, I can't. You pump me up, like I'm for real. Like you think I'm kidding? I'll see you within the next 3 months.
Hell yeah.
I'll be knocking on the door, like, let me in.
Oh, you got it, dude. I will for the town.
Hell yeah, dude. So stick around after I log off because it'll upload your track. But
Gotcha.
other than that, man, thank you again for the listeners. I will put all the links that we talked about in the show notes. Again, this show is sponsored by Wackadoo Brewing and Tejas Fabrication and Black Sheep Groundskeeping, and not started yet, small batch shirts, or small batch shirts by Groundskeepers Union. So yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Have a good night, and I will see you, or you will hear from me next Monday.